So what if I told you that the most accurate, like the most unfiltered map of the modern, overworked, globally connected economy isn't some Wall Street Journal think piece,
Right.
and it isn't an elite CEO memo either. It's
Yeah.
actually, it's the troubleshooting drop-down menu in a piece of software that you probably have open in another browser tab right this very second.
Which I know sounds completely absurd on the surface.
Yeah, totally.
Looking for deep societal meaning in a technical index because we're conditioned to think of help menus as just purely utilitarian, right?
Right,
You
yeah.
go there when a button doesn't work, you find the fix, you get out. We treat it like, well, like the plumbing of the internet.
Exactly. And nobody stares at the plumbing to understand, the family living in the house.
No.
But today, our source material for this deep dive is literally the official Google Docs editor's help page for Google Sheets. Just the index, like just the table of contents. And our mission today is to read between the lines of this incredibly, incredibly dry document. Because the items listed here actually tell a massive story about how we work today.
They really do.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because what looks like a simple list of links for a grid of empty cells actually contains so many layers of, psychological and structural complexity.
Well, to understand the modern workspace, I really think you have to look at the tools that companies are forced to provide help articles for.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, the friction points reveal the reality, and the reality of the software is established right at the top of the page. There is a sentence that functions almost like a constitution for the platform.
Okay, what is it?
It says, with Google Sheets, everyone can work together in the same spreadsheet at the same time.
At the same time. That phrase, at the same time, is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
It is, and what's fascinating here is the absolute collapse of traditional physics in the workplace.
Wait, traditional physics?
Yeah, think about it. Before this kind of cloud architecture, a document was a physical artifact, even when it was digital.
Right.
You saved a file to your local hard drive.
Like version 1_final.
Exactly. Version 1_final_final. You emailed it, someone else opened it on their computer, they changed it, and they send it back.
Yeah, it was sequential.
Completely sequential. But by establishing that users operate at the same time, the help page is defining this software not as a document, but as a destination.
Oh, a destination.
Yeah, it's a synchronized, real-time location where geography and time zones are entirely irrelevant.
Like a digital room.
Yes.
Which, that begs the question, if this is a globally shared room, who exactly is standing in it?
Right.
And the source text actually gives us a literal map to figure that out if you look at the language options supported on the page.
The linguistic footprint is just massive.
It's huge.
If you look at the bottom, you see Català, Dansk, Deutsch, Tingit, Turkcell, Devinayeth, and dozens more.
Dozens. It paints a picture of this massive global sandbox. I'm picturing someone in an office in Brazil using the interface in Portuguese, manipulating the exact same data structure at the exact same millisecond as someone logging in from Tokyo using you.
Yeah.
And they're doing this without overwriting each other's work or crashing the system.
And they're able to do that because the underlying logic of the grid acts as a universal translation layer.
A translation layer.
While the human user sees their native tongue on the menu buttons, right?
Yeah.
They click share or format in their own language. But the architecture of the columns, the rows, the actual data structure, that remains a universal constant underneath.
Oh, wow.
The grid itself has practically become a common language for global commerce.
I love that idea of the universal sandbox.
Yeah.
But I have to push back on this utopian vision of a friendly, accessible playground for the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because right below that core promise of everyone working together effortlessly, there's a very specific link that feels, honestly, incredibly intimidating. The index explicitly instructs the user to, quote, take the Getting Started with Google Sheets course on Coursera.
Ah, yes. The Coursera integration. That is a brilliant piece of text to analyze.
I'm honestly baffled by it. Coursera is a university-level education platform.
Yes, it is.
If this help menu is for a tool designed to simply, quote, edit and format a spreadsheet, why on earth are we sending users to a collegiate platform just to get started?
Right.
You don't need a university course to understand how to use a basic calculator or like a digital notepad.
No, you don't. And the contradiction is entirely intentional. It reveals the dual nature of what a spreadsheet actually is today.
Okay.
The help menu is mapping out an incredibly steep learning curve, but it's disguised as basic office software.
Disguise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at the chronological order of the topics, it kind of lulls you in. It starts with edit and format a spreadsheet.
Right.
That is the friendly, shallow end of the pool. Typing words, making a cell bold, adding a yellow background.
The stuff my grandmother could figure out in 10 minutes.
Precisely. But the very next link plunges you right into the deep end. It says, use functions and formulas.
Yeah.
To actually fulfill the software's stated goal of helping you, and I quote, save time and simplify common spreadsheet tasks, you cannot just format text. You have to master those functions.
Have to.
And what the help menu is quietly admitting by linking out to Coursera is that mastering functions isn't just advanced formatting, it is coding.
So Google Sheets is essentially a programming language hiding in plain sight.
It is a coding environment masquerading as office supplies.
Wow.
When you learn to write complex formulas, you are learning Boolean logic. You're learning conditional formatting and syntax. You are telling the machine how to execute commands based on variable conditions.
Which is coding.
That requires structured academic level thinking. The software invites you in with the promise of easy formatting, but to survive in the modern professional environment that it anchors, you have to learn to write code.
They just call it formulas so they don't scare off the accountants.
Exactly.
I mean, think about the first time you ever tried to write a nested if statement.
Oh, painful.
You miss one comma, one single parenthesis,
Yeah.
and the entire cell breaks. It just screams an error at you.
Yep.
That level of frustration, that friction we were talking about earlier, is exactly why a collegiate course is suddenly a prerequisite for a blank grid.
And this brings us to a really fascinating threshold in the source material. Because once a user spends the time on Coursera, once they learn the syntax and they start writing their own complex code within these cells, they become ambitious.
For sure.
They start pumping more and more information into the grid.
And eventually you hit a physical limit.
Right.
A web browser can only hold so much data before it simply refuses to operate, which leads to a dramatic shift in the help menu.
Yes.
We get past the basic work with data sections, and suddenly the index lists some very, very heavy lifters. There are dedicated links to use BigQuery data in Google Sheets and use Data Studio in Google Sheets.
This is the exact moment the software transcends its original design. The training wheels are completely off.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. Taking a standard spreadsheet and plugging it directly into BigQuery is a massive conceptual leap.
It's huge.
It's like replacing the engine of your standard golf cart with a remote control that operates a massive industrial forklift in an Amazon warehouse miles away.
That's a great way to put it.
The grid you are looking at is just the steering wheel. The actual heavy lifting is happening completely off screen.
And that mechanism you just described is crucial to understanding the evolution documented on this page.
Okay.
BigQuery represents massive enterprise-level databases. We are talking about millions upon millions of rows of data.
Mind-boggling amounts.
Datasets so large they are incomprehensible to the human brain and frankly would instantly crash a standard computer.
So the spreadsheet is no longer a storage container.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it proves the spreadsheet has become a bridge.
A bridge.
On one side, it acts as a user-friendly window into those massive external servers via BigQuery. The data doesn't actually live in the spreadsheet anymore. The spreadsheet just queries it.
Wow.
And on the other side, through the Data Studio link, it's feeding visual, interactive corporate dashboards. So the user interface remains the familiar, comforting grid, but the tool itself has become a high-level data visualization engine.
It's the accessible face of a supercomputer.
Basically, yeah.
But, I mean, when you give an average user the steering wheel to a supercomputer, things are going to rattle.
Oh, absolutely.
The browser's going to freeze. And the help page basically confesses to this reality. Nestled right between all these advanced features, we see two incredibly revealing links.
The troubleshooting ones.
Yes. Improve your sheet's performance and shortcuts and troubleshooting.
You do not need a dedicated section for improving performance if you are just tracking a neighborhood bake sale or a grocery list.
Right. Think about the last time you tried to filter a sheet with just like 10,000 rows, and your laptop fan started screaming like a jet engine.
Oh, yeah. It gets physically hot.
That sheer panic you felt.
Yeah.
That is exactly what this help menu is triaging.
Yes.
It proves that users are cramming so much external data and writing such intense code that the software is just groaning under the weight of human ambition. Performance degradation is listed as a top-tier help category because users are constantly pushing this tool past its physical breaking point.
It really highlights a profound tension in modern work. Users are demanding that a simple tabulation tool behave like a fully bespoke enterprise software application.
Yeah.
And we can see this behavioral shift even more explicitly in another feature listed on the page,
Which one?
timeline view.
Oh, I saw that. It seems like a minor formatting option when you first look at it, but it really implies something entirely different about the data, doesn't it?
It really does, because a traditional spreadsheet is static.
Right.
A number sits in a cell representing a fixed value. It's a repository of what is.
Okay.
But a timeline view is inherently dynamic. It forces data into a chronological sequence. It implies scheduling, tracking dependencies, managing moving parts.
Oh, wow. So it means we are no longer just asking what is the data. We are asking when is the work happening.
Exactly. By elevating timeline view to a core hyperlinked feature, the help index demonstrates that Google Sheets is actively pivoting from a simple database into a project management platform.
Wow.
The grid is now dictating human action over time.
That is wild. We've traced this amazing arc so far.
Yeah.
We've gone from a blank grid to a Coursera-level coding environment to a supercomputer remote control to a project management hub that is like constantly crashing because we asked too much of it.
Because we're pushing it too hard, yeah.
So how does the software solve the problem of users pushing it too hard?
Wow.
If you look at the bottom of the index, the answer is that the machine starts to think for itself.
The artificial intelligence integration.
Yes.
This is where the help menu starts to read like a dispatch from the near future.
It really does. The text prominently features Gemini and Docs editors. And there are two very distinct links that I really want to dissect here. One says, use the AI function in Google Sheets. The other says, use the AI function in Google Sheets, in parentheses, workspace experiment.
Yeah, the experiments label.
So, what does this all mean? Why this specific carve-out for experiments?
This raises an important question about how we interact with software today versus, say, 10 years ago.
Right.
It tells us that this digital environment is not a finished product. It is a live, ongoing laboratory.
Oh.
By maintaining a permanent official help section explicitly labeled as experiments, the developers are admitting that the paint is never going to dry.
We are essentially beta testers paying to do our own jobs.
We are absolutely part of the development cycle, but the placement of these AI links is even more significant than the experiments label itself.
How so?
The help index lists these Gemini integrations right alongside incredibly mundane legacy tasks.
That's right. It's literally just a few bullet points away from sort, filter, or format data.
It is normalizing artificial intelligence. By structuring the menu this way, the page is communicating a massive psychological shift to the user.
Okay.
Asking an AI to analyze a million rows of BigQuery data or generate a complex string of code is now considered as basic and fundamental to your workday as making a cell blue or alphabetizing a column.
That is wild to think about.
It places the cutting edge of human technology right next to the digital equivalent of a stapler.
It completely democratizes the technology. You don't need to be a computer scientist to leverage machine learning anymore. You just have to click the AI help link sitting right beneath the printing option.
Exactly.
But, okay, amid all this talk of AI and supercomputers, there's one microscopic UI detail floating in the source text that I think completely grounds this entire document in human reality.
What's that?
It's a tiny toggle mentioned down near the code strings, enable dark mode.
The dark mode toggle,
Yes.
surrounded by all that sterile corporate language.
Why do you physically need dark mode? I mean, you don't need it at 10 a.m. in a brightly lit ergonomic office building.
No, you need it to reduce eye strain when the ambient light in your physical environment is gone.
You need it because you are working in the dark. That one single toggle proves the physical reality of the modern, always-on workforce. The person reading this help page is likely lying in bed at midnight.
Unfortunately, yeah.
The room is pitch black. They're exhausted, frantically trying to troubleshoot a broken formula or a stalled BigQuery integration for a presentation the next morning.
Right.
They're turning on dark mode, so the blinding white light of a spreadsheet doesn't wake up the person sleeping next to them.
It is an incredibly intimate, almost vulnerable detail hiding inside a technical manual.
It really is.
It acknowledges the physical toll of this globally connected ecosystem. The software can seamlessly translate languages, it can query massive external databases, it can deploy AI to write code. But at the end of the chain, there is just a tired human being with strained eyes, desperately looking for an answer in a drop-down menu.
Everyone can work together in the same spreadsheet at the same time, even if that time is 2 a.m. on a Tuesday.
Exactly.
And honestly, considering the sheer weight of what we've unpacked today, it is somewhat comforting that the text explicitly points users to a community link, a place to, quote, get answers from community members.
Yeah, the human element.
Right, which means when the AI fails and the Coursera knowledge runs out, it still relies on human beings helping other human beings navigate the machine.
Which brings us to a very interesting and perhaps slightly unsettling crossroads regarding the future of that human interaction.
Okay, I'm listening.
If we look at the overarching trajectory mapped out purely by the links on this page, we see two opposing forces on a collision course.
The learning curve versus the AI.
Exactly. At the top of the page, we have the human burden, getting started with Google Sheets on Coursera.
Right.
It demands that users put in the hours to learn the complex syntax, memorize the functions, and speak the language of the machine.
Yeah.
But at the bottom of the page, we have the rapidly expanding Gemini integrations and workspace experiments, which are designed explicitly to save time and simplify common spud feed tasks.
I see where this is heading.
If the AI functions continue their current evolution, if they expand their ability to interpret natural language, analyze massive data sets, and instantly generate those complex nested formulas just by being asked in plain English, will that Coursera course eventually become completely obsolete?
Wow. We're looking at a future where we don't have to learn the language of the machine anymore because the machine has finally learned ours.
We are looking at a potential reality telegraphed right here in this index, where human users no longer need to learn functions and formulas.
Right.
Our role in the workplace would fundamentally change. We would shift from being the creators and coders of the spreadsheets to simply being the reviewers of the AI's work.
The AI becomes the architect,
Right.
writing the code, pulling the data, and the human being just sits there in dark mode, reading over it to make sure it makes sense before the morning meeting.
We just sign off on the permits.
We just sign off on the permits. Next time I open a blank spreadsheet, I really don't think I'm going to see a simple grid of empty cells. I think I'm going to see a machine that is quietly learning how to do my job